You know what? My hands are sweating. And our hands usually sweat when we are really scared. And when you feel so scared that you have no words to speak, that's when you're feeling speechless because you're so scared. And your hands start sweating, you start shivering, and you feel very anxious. Have you had such an experience in the past? Maybe you're giving a presentation or you're meeting your girlfriend's parents for the first time. How do you feel? Don't you feel speechless? If you want to learn different words to talk about being speechless, then keep watching this lesson with me. This is Michelle. Here we have with us a combination of words that we are going to learn to talk about being speechless. Let's start with the first one, disconcerted. Have you heard the word concert? You must have been to a concert as well, a musical performance where a singer is performing. When you go to a concert, you see that a lot of people join together to perform. And this is just the opposite of a concert, which is a disconcerted state. So here, somebody who's feeling disconcerted has lost composure. They feel sort of angry. So a person who has lost composure, feels angry at a bad news, feels disconcerted. So someone who has lost composure or patience. So if someone's daughter is constantly performing bad in exams, her parents might be feeling disconcerted. So a little girl might say that, I'm very scared to tell my parents about the result. They might feel disconcerted, which means that they might lose their composure and they might scream at her, shout at her, or even be very angry at her. Okay, so disconcerted means to lose patience and to be angry. And that's how they're speechless because they don't want to say anything, they're very angry. Okay, now the next word that we have is dumbfounded or dumbfounded. Do you know who's a dumb person? A person who cannot speak. And that's where this word comes from. When you find yourself, okay, found is the past for find. So when you find yourself in a position when you just cannot speak, that's when you are dumbfounded, when you cannot speak at all, out of surprise. So when you cannot speak out of surprise. Has it ever happened to you that you found yourself dumbfounded? What happens when you see your favorite celebrity passing by you? You feel dumbfounded because you're so surprised and so excited that you just don't have any words to speak. So that is dumbfounded for you. The next one that we have is dumbstruck. This is just another synonym for the first one. You can use it in place of dumbfounded. It also means you don't have any words and you're just speechless out of excitement and surprise. Can't speak out of excitement. Recently, I went for dinner with my family and I saw that my friend Sophia was in the same restaurant. To find Sophia in the same restaurant, I was absolutely dumbstruck. I was so surprised and so excited, I didn't know what to speak because I was happy and excited. So this is another speechless moment, but a happy speechless moment. This is obviously an opposite for disconcerted because when you're disconcerted, you're angry and speechless. And here you're happy and speechless. Okay, the next one that we have is flabbergasted. When do you feel flabbergasted? So you feel flabbergasted when you're shocked. That's when you feel flabbergasted. It's not a happy, not an angry moment, but a very shocked moment when you didn't expect something and it happened. So when you're very shocked and you cannot speak out of the shock. So if you get a $10,000 bill for your cell phone without making too much calls, how will you feel? You'll feel very shocked, and that's when you can say this. I'm absolutely flabbergasted. How come I got this bill? So this is flabbergasted for you. Now let's look at the next one, flummoxed. This word is used for a state of utter confusion. How does math make you feel? Maybe it makes you feel great, but for me, math makes me feel really flummoxed, which means it makes me feel really confused. So when you're really confused, that's when you're very flummoxed. So you could say that in the final exam, all the questions made me feel flummoxed because I didn't prepare. So when you're not prepared, you feel confused when you read the questions because you don't know the answer. Now we have another word which is a stronger version of flummoxed, and that is nonplussed. So when you're way too shocked, okay, or way too confused, that's when you say you're nonplussed, which is when you're extremely confused. So when you're extremely confused, you could say that you were nonplussed. Nonplussed could be used in a sentence when you, let's say there's a situation when your boss told you that you're the best employee, and the next day he tells you that he's firing you. How would you feel? You'd feel absolutely confused and shocked, like why is he doing that? He told you that you're the best employee, and then he's telling you he's firing you without a reason. So when you're so confused and extremely shocked, that's when you're nonplussed. Okay, the next one that we have is speechless. So you're speechless out of amazement. This is the word that I've been using throughout this lesson, and even the topic of the lesson is speechless. It means same as dumbfounded, when you don't have words. So when you don't have words out of amazement, you're speechless or dumbfounded. No words because of amazement. Okay, if you want to use speechless in a sentence, you could say that the music left me speechless, which means that you loved the music so much and you enjoyed it so much that you were absolutely amazed by it. You couldn't believe that how somebody could create such great music. The next word that we have is tongue-tied. What if your tongue is tied? What will happen? Will you be able to talk? No, you won't be able to talk. And such a situation occurs when you're very nervous. That's when you're tongue-tied. So when you're very nervous, you're tongue-tied. What happens when you have to go to meet your girlfriend's parents for the first time? You'll obviously be very nervous, and like I said in the video, your hands might also be sweating. When your hands start sweating, it's called flop sweating, which means out of nervousness. So when your hands are flop sweating and your tongue is tied, you could say that I'm really tongue-tied right now, I don't know what to say. Or you could say that she was tongue-tied to meet his parents for the first time. The second last word that we have is discombobobobobbo. Are you also pronouncing it like that? It's really a hard word to pronounce. Sometimes it's hard for me as well. But it's pronounced as discombobulated. It has a similar meaning to the word disconcerted, which means to lose composure. So when you lose your composure, that's when you feel discombobulated. This one is out of anger, you lose patience, and you lose patience here out of frustration. So when you're so frustrated after a very bad day, you feel discombobulated. To lose patience after being frustrated. To be frustrated. So you could say that I was quite discombobulated after the really bad day that I had. This is also a very good word that you can use for writing. For speaking, you might want to use words like dumbfounded and dumbstruck, which are informal words. But words like disconcerted and discombobulated are usually formal words that you use when you're writing and less when you're speaking. Okay, now we look at the last word for the day, and this one is a much stronger version of tongue-tied. When you're way too nervous, that's when you use befuddled. So if you're giving a presentation and you feel very disorganized, you don't know what to say because you've not prepared well and you're disorganized, your presentation is disorganized, that's when you say befuddled. So you're disorganized and you've not prepared well and you have to give a presentation. So you feel very scared and very nervous. And to use it in a sentence, you could say that she was befuddled while giving the presentation, which means that she was disorganized and that's why she was so nervous. So here are all the different ways to say that you're speechless. I told you that there are certain words that you can use in a formal situation when you're writing and certain words that you can use when you're speaking. So make sure you use these words next time you feel speechless. Now you have enough words and you don't actually have to be speechless. So speak more, learn more, and thank you so much for watching this session with me. I hope you have a great time ahead. Bye-bye.